Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to make a fresh brown scones, and we're going to do a lovely fresh vegetable soup. Okay, so we have all the ingredients just right here. So we have here for the ingredients, we have for our scones, we have our wholemeal flour, we have our plain flour, we have our milk, we have our baking powder, we have our sugar, and we have our butter, and we have our egg for egg wash. Okay, we're also going to put some salt in the scones as well. Okay, for the vegetable soup, we have our bag of carrots, leeks, and celery. We have some broccoli, we have some potatoes, onions, mushrooms, and we have some stock. We have some vegetable stock and some chicken stock, and we also have some cream that we're going to finish off to make it a Korean vegetable soup. Okay, so the next stage now is to prep everything. Okay, here now we're just going to start making the brown scones. Okay, so we have 2 cups of wholemeal flour, we've 1 cup of plain flour, we have some milk. Okay, just a half cup of milk. Okay, we have some brown sugar, a tablespoon of brown sugar. We have a teaspoon of baking powder, and we have 2 ounces of butter, and we have an egg for an egg wash. Okay, and we have some salt. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to crack and make the milk sour. So we're just going to put a tiny drop of apple cider vinegar into the milk, so that will make the milk go sour, because the milk tastes better with the scones. The flavour of the milk tastes better when it's sour. So you can either put a drop of apple cider vinegar or squeeze a lemon juice into the milk just to make it go sour. Okay, so there we have the 2 cups of wholemeal flour, 1 cup of plain flour, we have our milk, we have our salt, we have our sugar, our heaped tablespoon of sugar, brown sugar, we have our teaspoon of baking powder, and we have our butter. So what we're going to do is we're going to put all the ingredients into a bowl, and we're going to mix everything together. Okay, so there we go. We have all our ingredients. We have our flour, our wholemeal flour, our plain flour, our butter, our sugar, our salt, and our baking powder in the bowl. So what we're going to do is we're going to use what they call a rubbing technique, where we're going to rub the butter into the flour mix and have it like a breadcrumb kind of mix. Okay, so this just takes a couple of minutes to do. So we want to make sure that the butter is dissolved through the flour, and it's like a breadcrumb mix. Okay, as you can see here, our butter has dissolved, and we rubbed in the butter to give it like a breadcrumb mix, it gives a consistency. So that kind of will help with the nice consistency with the scones. So the butter is rubbed in, it's like a breadcrumb consistency. So what we're going to do is now we're going to make a little hole in the middle, and we're just going to add in some of the milk. Okay, so we're going to add in some of the milk, and then what we're going to do is we're going to stir it, and we're going to make a nice dough out of the mix. Okay, so we're turning our dry mixture now into a dough. So you can see the dough is starting to come together, and we're just mixing it. So we're just going to add in the rest of the milk. So that's a glass of milk, a glass of sour milk, and we're just going to make a ball of dough. So there should be just a ball of dough in the center of the bowl. So there we go, there's a nice ball of dough there in the center for our scones. So the mix is not too wet and it's not too dry. So that's the consistency that you wanted, where the bowl is nearly clean, and all the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients is mixed together, and it's a ball of dough in the middle of the bowl. So what we're going to do is now, we're going to knead the dough, and we're going to get it ready then for cutting with the scone cutter. So what we've done is we've just dusted our table here, or our countertop, and what we're doing is we're kneading the dough, okay, just from the outside and in. Okay, you can do it with 2 hands. I'm just holding the camera here, so I'm doing it with 1. Okay, so there we are. We have our nice ball of dough, kneaded and ready for rolling. So there we go. There's a nice ball of dough, and it's ready for rolling. So we have our rolling pin here, and we're just going to dust it as well, just for a little bit of flour, and we're just going to roll it from, okay, we're going to turn it, okay, we're going to roll it again, okay. So that's the depth in relation to what the depth that we want for cutting out the scones. So we're going to cut out our scones now. Okay, so here we are with our scone cutter. We're just going to press down. Okay, there's 1. Okay, I'm going to press down again. There's 2. I'm going to press down again. There's 3. Press down again. 4. Press down again. 5. Okay, so we're going to roll up the rest of the pastry. We're going to make another dough ball out of it, and we're going to do the exact same thing again. Okay, we're going to get a few more scones out of this dough ball. So there we go, there's our scones. So out of that mix we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 and 9 scones. Okay, so we have our tray here of tin foil and greaseproof paper over it. So we're just going to spread out the scones evenly on the tray. Okay, so they have room to breathe on the tray, and then room to cook. Okay, so it's very important that the scones have room to breathe. Okay, the next thing what we're going to do is now is we're going to put some egg wash on the scones, the egg wash that we've made up here with the egg and the milk. Okay, so we're just going to put some egg wash on the top of the scones. Okay, we've preheated our oven. Our oven is up, and we had it preheating at 200, and we've just lowered the heat down now. Okay, so we're going to coat our scones now with some egg wash. So we have egg washed our scones there. They're going to give a nice golden effect to the scones. So our scones now are ready to go into the oven. So there we go, our scones have gone into the oven. So we're just going to let them cook out and check them after about 15 to 20 minutes. While our scones are in the oven cooking, we're going to put it together our soup. Okay, so we have our potatoes, our onions, our mushrooms, we have our broccoli, and we have our bag of mixed veg that we bought in the shop. So we've celery, carrots and leeks in there. Okay, we also have our stock cubes. We have a mixture of chicken and vegetable stock cubes. Now if you're vegetarian, you can just use vegetable stock cubes, or if you're not vegetarian, you can mix it up. You can do chicken and vegetable stock cubes. Okay, so what we have here is we have our water boiling. So we're just going to add in our stock cubes, our 3 stock cubes, and we're just going to give them a little stir. We're going to put the pot on simmer and just let our stock just cook it. Okay, so in the meantime we're going to peel our potatoes, our onions, we're going to chop our mushrooms, our broccoli, our onions and our potatoes into a nice fine dice. Okay, so we're going to get cracking now on prepping up the veg for the soup. Now our onions are peeled, our potatoes are peeled, we have our broccoli de-stalked. So what we're going to do is now we're going to finely chop up our onions, mushrooms and potatoes and broccoli, and we're going to start making the soup. You can see our stock is ready. We're just going to put it on simmer. Okay, let it just simmer away. So we're ready now to start chopping up and prepping up the soup. You can see here we have our onions, our mushrooms, our potatoes, our broccoli, all chopped up. So all our ingredients now are ready, chopped, and ready for to start making the soup. Okay, so our onions are chopped, finely diced, our mushrooms are diced, our potatoes are diced, our broccoli is diced, and then we have our carrots, our leeks, our celery, and we have our stock. Okay, so we have our big pot here. So what we're going to do is we're going to melt, and we're going to heat up the pot, and we're going to add some olive oil, and we're going to melt some butter, and we're going to sweat off all the vegetables. So here we are, and we're just going to add in some olive oil. Okay, we're going to add in our butter as well. Okay, you hear it sizzling there. Just stir around. We don't have anything to do. Okay, and what we're going to do is now we're going to start adding in our vegetables. Okay, add them all into the pot. Give it a good stir. Okay, and we start adding in our broccoli, onions, mushrooms, and potatoes as well into the pot. So you can see there's all our ingredients now in the pot. We're just sweating off our onions, mushrooms, potatoes, carrots, leeks, and celery. Here, we're just sweating them off there in some oil and butter for about 5 to 10 minutes, and we're just going to gently cook out the soup. Okay, the soup mix. So there we are, we're just sweating off, continue to sweat off all our vegetables, and we're going to add in some pink salt, sea salt, and we're just going to add in some black pepper, and also just a sprinkle of black pepper. Okay, so again, we're nearly through the process of sweating off. So what we're going to do is now, I'm going to throw your attention just to the scones, to see how the scones are getting on in the oven. So there we go, the scones are after being in the oven now the last 10 to 15 minutes, so they're coming up nicely, they're after rising. Okay, so you can see there they're starting to look like scones, they're starting to go brown and cook through. Okay, so the scones are in about 10 to 15 minutes, so we've another 15 minutes left for the scones to be cooked out. So the next thing to do here, you can see our vegetables have sweated off nicely, and the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add in some flour, just a small bit of flour, and maybe a tablespoon of flour, just to make a roux, which is a thickening agent, and it will dry up all the excess oil. So we'll just sprinkle of flour in. We're just going to give it a good mix up and make it like a paste. Okay. So you can see here we've turned down the gas, and we've added in our flour, and we've made the vegetables and the flour and the oil and the butter into a kind of a pasty consistency, which will be, this will add to be a thickening agent, as well as stopping the soup from being so greasy with the olive oil. So the next process then is to add in the stock. Okay, so we're gently going to add in the stock that we prepared earlier on. Just pour it in there. Okay, and we're going to give it a good stir and just blend all the ingredients together. Okay, so what I like to do is I would like to use a whisk. I generally take out the wooden spoon, and I normally use the whisk now, and just to give it a stir. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the soup to the boil, and then we're going to put it on simmer for about 30 minutes. Okay, you can see here our soup is becoming a lovely colour. We're going to let all our vegetables cook out, and for the next 30 minutes we're going to put it on simmer. Alright, so just to keep giving it a stir that nothing sticks to the bottom, and that everything is well dissolved and well mixed together. You can see now our soup is up to the boil now, so we're just going to put it on simmer, lower down the gas, and let everything cook out for the next 25 minutes. You can see after 30 minutes in the oven, we've watched our scones, so our scones are done, they're nice and crispy and golden, so we've lovely wholemeal scones ready now for to go with our soup. So we're just going to take the scones out of the oven, and we're just going to let them relax on a board. Okay, So our scones are ready now. Another way of knowing that the scones are ready, if you tap and you hear the hollow noise, that gives an indication that the scones are ready. Okay, you can see our scones are out of the oven and they're ready. They're lovely and golden. Okay, nice and crispy. Okay, our soup is coming along nicely. So what we're going to do is now, it's just optional, we're going to liquidize the soup now. You can see here all the vegetables, the soup is on the last 30-35 minutes. All the vegetables are all cooked out in the soup, and they've boiled together with with the stock. So some people like to leave it like a country veg soup. Okay, I like to liquidize it. So what I'm going to do is, I have my liquidizer here. I have the gas turned out underneath it. So what I'm going to do is now, I'm going to liquidize. You can see here, the soup has been becoming a lovely, you can see now it's coming into a lovely coloured vegetable soup. Okay, so I'm just going to liquidize the soup. So we've liquidized our soup, we've finished liquidizing our soup. So what we're going to do is now, we're going to bring it back to the boil, and then we're going to add our cream, and then we're going to put it on simmer then. Okay, so you can see our lovely pureed vegetable soup, and we're just going to bring it back to the boil, and we're going to add some cream then, and then we're going to put it on simmer, and it's going to be ready then for service. Scones are there plated up and ready for service. Our soup is just coming back up to the boil now. I'm just going to let it come up to the boil. As soon as it comes up to the boil, we're going to put it on simmer, and then we're going to add in our cream. Okay. So we're just going to let the soup simmer. We're not going to bring it back to the boil. We're just going to let it simmer. Okay. You can see there, lovely colour there with the soup, a lovely vegetable cream soup. Okay, so we're just going to let that simmer for about 5 minutes, and then the soup then is ready for service. Whether you use a ladle to serve the soup, or you can fill up a jug. I've done both. So I filled this soup bowl up with a ladle, and this one here I'm just going to aim for in the middle of the soup bowl. Just fill it up. Okay, a lovely bowl of soup. Okay, so we'll probably get about 6 portions, 6 bowls of soup out of the mix that we made today, and we have our scones there. So last but not least, we're just going to sprinkle some chives, chopped chives, on the top of the soup. Okay, just on the scones. Okay, so there we go. It's lovely fresh vegetable soup with some homemade brown wholemeal scones. Okay, so please have a go, try it out and enjoy it. Okay, so the soup and scones for about 6 portions would cost you in and around €5 for the ingredients for the soup and the scones. Okay, so there we go, lovely fresh vegetable soup and brown